Hello, everyone. We feel good to be back at the beer garden. And today, along with Nathan and Steve and myself, we are going to talk about the Happy Valley race cards on this Wednesday. So we are going to have 9 races. I think the cards are quite good. But Steve, are you doing well recently? Did you watch the Cheltenham Festival?
Yes, well, I was working, but I got home and managed to watch the rest of it. It's really amazing, wasn't it? Constitution Hill, fantastic,
Yes.
really impressive, and also it's very heartwarming, wasn't it, to see Honeysuckle win too, for lots of very emotional reasons with Henry de Bromhead
Mm.
and Rachel Blackmore. Just a fantastic win, and who knows, she might still have one more race in her at Punchestown, but certainly
Mm.
goes out on a high at Cheltenham. Did you watch it too?
Yes, I do. I watch it at my home, but actually the jump races are not that popular in Hong Kong. So hopefully, because now the world pool is getting more and more popular right now, so hopefully maybe we will simulcast the Cheltenham Festival and we can watching and also betting it in Hong Kong. What about you, Nathan? Do you also like jump racing?
I don't mind it. I don't. It's not something that it's not overly popular here in Australia. We don't. We
Yeah.
have a few meetings around throughout the year that sort of celebrate it. We got the steeplechase at Wenamble, the bull as we call
Mm,
it, down in Victoria. That's very popular, and then obviously
yeah.
over in Adelaide as well, over in South Australia, there's a few nice jumps races that sort of end up on the calendar. So no, yeah, we definitely do. And I saw a lot of Australian punters talking about Cheltenham last night. A little bit too
Mm.
late for me, but I did wake up to the scenes, and it was some incredible scenes, and as Steve alluded to, some emotional scenes, which was really heartwarming to see as well. So no, it's an amazing festival, and one day. Definitely one I'd like to check out. Same with Royal Ascot and the like coming up as well. So
Yes.
it's a big couple of months for European racing.
Yes, definitely. And also this festival is also on the top of my bucket list. So maybe
Mm,
hopefully next year we can go there to watch it
mm,
together. So let's talk about the Happy Valley race card today. As usual, we are going to preview the treble races, race 7 to race 9, and then followed by our best bet and value bets for the day. So let us start with race 7. The first leg of the treble, this is quite an interesting card. It is a class 3 over 1200 meters. In the field, we have some runners that are always mentioned by our show previously. So let me start with Steve. Who do you pick in race 7?
Well, I'm not going to sing the Bee Gees, but I'll go for number two. How deep is your love? It's a very popular a horse among the beer garden. Number two, drawn two, ridden by Caris Teaton, and just a horse, a John Size 3-year-old that's done very little wrong in 6 starts, encouraging third on debut. Unlucky next time on IJC night under Ryan Moore, and then a very emphatic or comfortable win, third up. A £9 rise for that win, and then two placed efforts followed by another good 2-length win last time, for which he goes up another £9. But you can't really. It's hard to get away from him. He's just a very reliable and progressive operator. 6 runs all over the 1200 meters of Happy Valley, and he defied the £9 rise before. Who's to say he can't defy another one this time? And Caris Teaton gets on well with him. He's been on his last 3 now. He's been second, third, and last time, of course, he won. And yes, the horse for me, a deep field gelding, lightly raced and open to more improvement. I think at more attractive odds, I think Pulsar Stride is a nice horse. He's only been placed once in 5 starts, but he has run well in all his races. He's a Fox Wedge gelding. And yes, a nice horse. He kept on well last time behind Not Usual Star, and that race has thrown up a couple of nice winners in Golden Express and also the progressive Brave Star. Other horses to look at, well, we have Miracle Beams, who was called Mooney Beams when he was
Mm.
trained by Ger Lyons in Ireland. And we've also got Jumbo Legend, Interesting Back and Trip, and also Helene Feeling, a newcomer for Danny Shum, ridden by Zach Purton. But for me, I'll make it my next best, and that is How Deep Is Your Love?
Yeah, so number 2, How Deep Is Your Love? A really great song and also a great horse as well. Last time he won impressively and now seeking for a back-to-back win. Do you also like this horse, Nathan?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of the better bets on the program. Made it my best of
Mm.
the night. I agree. How deep is your love? He's just got progression written all over him. Yes, he's got to carry 9 more extra pounds, but I don't think it's going to phase him. He won by 2 lengths. I thought it was a comfortable win last time. Just got leaders back. Gets a very similar map here. Not sure what the natural leader here is. It looks a tricky map. Maybe everyone's victory could be a type. Coming to Happy Valley might go forward. Codefield maybe can go forward from barrier 1 and ping the lids, but not a genuine tempo. So with that in mind, I feel like How Deep Is Your Love? He's classy enough to just lead if he wants to. We saw him do it a couple of starts back. I believe it was when he won third up. Throughout the preparation, he sort of went forward or sat outside leader and just continued to bowl along and get his win. I think he can do something similar if the race doesn't set up as we'd like. Obviously, you'd like a horse like him to get cover. I think he's better when ridden with some cover. But if he does have to lead, he can. He's adaptable. A nice deep field gelding that, as Steve alluded to, I just think has more scope about him than a lot of these. Draws perfectly to get a nice run again, and I think he does win. I think it's just as similar a race as you got last time. So I don't see too many horses jumping off the page to try and get him beat. I do have time for Codefield. He's starting to improve his runs at Happy Valley. Jumbo Legend back to the 1200 after a couple starts at the 1650 looks nice. And I think the best of the first up European types is number 5, Helene Feeling. I've got time for it. I think its trials were suggested it's going okay. I just think it runs into a very tricky race for itself first up. Here with How Deep Is Your Love. I do tend to agree. I just echoing everything Steve said because I totally agree. How Deep Is Your Love? One of the better bets on the program. Happy to be with it.
Yes, actually, I also like this horse. Number 2, How Deep Is Your Love is also my pick in race 7. He's now the 1.9 favorite, but of course, I think it is reasonable because last time he won impressively, winning by 2 lengths, and this time, he is now carrying 128 pounds. It should not be a burden for a 3-year-old because in this field, number 1, You Are My Everything is carrying the top weight. So 128 for How Deep Is Your Love is quite ideal. And also we are going to have the 9 races on the C course tonight. And usually the horses from the inside load barriers will be favorable. So How Deep Is Your Love this time, Gates number 2 is also really, really ideal. And also Karis Teeton knows the horse very well. So I think it is very likely for him to have a back-to-back win. But just a quick mention on number 6, Jumbo Legend, because he is returning back to 1200 meters. It should be a better distance for him. So let's see how will they perform. So in race 7, all of us have an agreement on number 2, How Deep Is Your Love, and hopefully this horse can run well. So the second leg of the treble, it will be race 8. It is a class 4 over 1200 meters. Who do you pick in this race, Steve?
I went for the unexposed, lightly raced Pachisi. That's number 5, trained by Jamie Richards, drawn 8, ridden by Zach Purton for the 3rd time. He's only had 2 runs. He was 3rd to Faribault. Very unlucky. Could well have won on his debut. He was very unlucky in 3rd. And then next time he was 2nd to Hearty Wish. Those runs were both over the minimum trip, the 1,000 metres. I think he makes great appeal stepping up to the 1,200. And the draw is not perfect, draw 8, but I think he's a young, scopy horse with lots of progression, and I think he'll defeat his rivals here. Interesting also that Zach Purton he won last time out on A Americ to Spec, so you can see I've been practicing that all day, and so it's rather interesting that he deserts that horse, who is still a live threat under Derek Lung from gate number 10. And we've also got the likes of Smoky Bear, which is an interesting class dropper, not to mention Wood on Fire, who was rather unlucky last time, and he's well drawn this time on the paint and well treated. When you look at his past exploits, he's on a very workable mark, Wood on Fire. But for me, I'm hoping that Pachisi can make it 3rd time lucky under Zach.
Yeah, so number 5, Pachisi, this time I will be trying the 1200 meters for the first time. What about you? What do you think, Nathan? Do you think he's a good chance?
Yeah, I'll just echo Steve once more. Number 5 for me, Pachisi goes on top. I just think he almost has to. He defaulted to him, though I don't think it's as straightforward as the previous race. I do feel on progression and just how he's been racing, it's very hard to be against him, particularly with the key booking of Zach Purton, as Steve alluded to. He jumps off a pretty nice horse in American Spec, so to jump on Pachisi, he doesn't do that without something in the locker. And Jamie Richards, I think he does want to build a nice relationship with the stable, as we've seen with horses like laser victory in the past. So I do think it's a set play by Purton to jump on this horse. Yes, barrier 8's awkward, I agree, but I do think he just needs a little bit of cover. I think he can come across. Horse like Laurice, drawn 12, I think he might even be able to tag across, find a one-off spot somewhere around midfield. And if he does, I think he's going to power to the line here. You just look at his 2 runs. He just simply got too far back over the short trip. And this time, I don't see Purton allowing that. I think he'll try and get this horse to jump as best as possible. And even if that means he does get cast wide, I don't think he's going to mind. I think this horse has got some fitness now. He can definitely go find a spot. And if he does get a little bit, find a bit of a tricky position, I still think he'll prove too good. I think he's got a lot of upside, does Pachisi. Gets him well at the weight considering as well. Well, on what we've seen, he looks like a very, very nice horse. Tend to agree. Smoky Bear's an interesting galloper back in grade. America Spexo, obviously we all had time for last time. And the fact that, he's drawn 10 this time. It just looks a tricky map compared to last time, but it was a dominant win. So, and the fact you're getting $11, you can definitely entertain it if you want to have another bet in the race. But look, I just think Pachisi's got the nice progression in him, Biper and Canto, and the fact that Zach Purton takes the ride, it just means, yes, probably taking a little bit of a tax, but I think we're going to take a tax regardless after his last start performance. Up to 1,200 meters. I think this horse is very, very impressive. And I only see him running well, and I agree. I tend to make him my next best bet of the afternoon. So Pachisi, very, very keen to be backing him as well. So the first 2 races, short price favourites, but I think they deserve it.
Yeah, so there will be another agreement among us because I'm also with number 5, Pachisi. I think he is quite a likely winner in the field because he is still improving and up-and-coming young horse. He's not in a big size, but he has a really strong racing heart because on his previous 2 runs over the 1,000 meters, he chased well from the very back, and actually it is not easy for horses to chase like that in Hong Kong, but Pachisi could do it. So this time, stepping up to 1,200 meters should be a more suitable distance for him. And also, we have the on-fire Zach Purton on board. I think he's a really likely winner in the field. But some other horses, I think in race 8, I'm suggesting having number 5 Pachisi as a banker for your Quinella or trio, and also with some horses that are somehow it is likely to run well, including number 2 American Speckle, who is a last-time winner, and also number 3 Racing Fighter. He is an old horse, but currently is still competitive. And also with Hugh Bowman on board, I think he is also going to be chasing well. And also Island Surprise, who is really consistent, a front runner. So hopefully these horses will run well. But on my top choice, it will be number 5 Pachisi, and also number 5 Pachisi in race 8 will be our selection in this race. So the last leg of the treble will be race 9. It is a class 3 over 1650 meters. And I think this race we have a different selection. So let me start with Steve again first. Who do you pick in the final race for the Cup?
Yeah, I think we all had the sort of same kind of thoughts in this race. It's a very open race. I kind of look at Nimble Nimbus, a good winner last time, his 3rd victory over Track and Trip. He rates highly off a £7 higher mark. He has a similar chance, I think, in some ways to Star Contact. He beat Star Contact on his last run. Star Contact has since won, and there's very little between them on the weights. And there's also, I think, the Rising from Ashes. You can't so say he can't win. He overcame gate 11 2 back. He's got gate 12 this time, but he does surprisingly really well when he's actually presented with high barriers. But I think in such a race where it's difficult to find an actual obvious winner, I went for a bit of value in the shape of Storm Legend, number 11, drawn 8. Again, not a fantastic draw under Harry Bentley. But he's a horse that is definitely frustrating character. He's over 20 runs now, still looking for that elusive first win in Hong Kong. But he invariably runs quite well over this 1650 meters. And the last time he was unsuited by a wide barrier, a modest tempo, and he just had no chance. He was awkward turning into the straight under Bentley. I think we can just disregard that. He's nicely handicapped of a mark of 62. He's not far from a class drop, but I still think in this company he has a good chance. But for me, it's a very wide open race, but Storm Legend for me for each way money.
Yeah, so race 9 is a bit tricky, and Steve goes with number 11 Storm Legend, this time a better draw than last time, gates number 8, and I think he is now at a career low mark and he is able to have some good performance. What about you, Lathan? Who do you fancy in race 9?
I tend to agree with Steve in terms of this race being probably one of the more open races of the evening. Really nice class 3 to finish the card over the 1650. But I've landed with Zach Purton's mount here, number 4, Secret Vision, and the price has come up. I'm surprised. I would have marked him a lot shorter than 7.2 is what you're currently getting on the Jockey Club website. I thought his last start performance behind Tullabegil at Charene over the 1600 metres was very, very forgivable. Prior to that, you look at his form, and he's got form behind Voyage Bubble. That horse was obviously went on to win the Hong Kong Mile, the first leg of the 4-year-old series. And then prior to that, ran to Sweet Encounter, who at the time was absolutely flying. And then, he sort of got out of his comfort zone with a trip over to 2,000 metres, steps back to the 1650 here, goes to Happy Valley for the first time. And I think this track will suit. I think, from barrier 2, Purton can just jump, find a nice spot, somewhere leaders back, maybe even 1-1 if he can. And I think he gets a lovely run in transit here, got the fitness edge on its side. And then you look at that run behind a Tullabegil. That horse is going, I believe, onto the Derby on Sunday. And then on our previous Sunday, he was actually very competitive, I thought, in Class 2. So definitely you can tie some form through that horse and through some nice gallopers through that race. So I think it's the right form in a race where, as Steve mentioned, there's a lot of exposed form at Happy Valley, while Secret Vision is the one that comes here with a little bit of unknown, but I'm getting a price to find out. I think he's a very, very, it's some nice placement here by Danny Shum. I think it's a very winnable race for this son by Elzam. And I do believe that it can definitely run a bold race here. I think he gets a nice run, gets Purton on, and it gets a genuine tempo to be running on. Another horse I give a spruik to is a horse that I've got plenty of time for. I think I've mentioned him every single time we've been on the Beer Garden, and that's number 9, Silver Hammer. He's going to run a race. I promise you, he's going to run a race. He ran in the 4th position last time. I think this might be his day. I might even have a little bet on him. I thought the Carroyas form might not be the right form for this race, but I do like Silver Hammer, and I think he's ready for a win. Whether or not he wants to step up in trip to the 1,800 metres. I agree with Steve. Storm Legend has been a frustrating horse, but I can definitely see where he's coming from with him. E-Legend, I think, is another interesting galloper, obviously coming off that win and going back up in grade. Amazing One Plus on his day, Nimble Nimbus on his day. There's a lot of really nice horses in this race. I thought it was a tricky one. So I've gone for a little bit of unexposed Happy Valley form, and that's number 4, Secret Vision. And at the price, it's not a value bet. I really do like it on the each way. I think it'll be running a hole. So Secret Vision for me goes on top in the finale.
Yeah, good to hear that, because in the final race, number 4, Secret Vision will also be my selection. And currently the price is 7.2, so I think he is a good choice for a value bet. And this time ridden by Zach Purton, making his Happy Valley debut. I think he will be suitable for the city circuit. And Nathan just mentioned his forms recently at Charene. They were quite strong because he was beaten by some up and coming 4-year-olds like Roy Bubble and Sweet Encounter. So I think he is a bit difficult to have a victory at Charene because the rival there are too strong. But this time moving to Happy Valley for the first time, actually the rivals here also have some good performance. But Secret Vision is quite classy here, I would say, because also have some good shouting forms and also a good draw gate number 2 for him, and also with a great jockey on board. So I think Secret Vision making their city circuit debut can also win it. So hopefully he can win it. And some other horses should keep our eyes on. I think it would be number 12, Beauty Turn, because this time he is changing some gear and he is adding the Shadow Roll for the first time. He also tried well with this gear recently, and this time in the final race, if you see the first 8 races, if the front runners or the leaders are favorable in the are favorable, so you can increase the chance for number 12 Beauty Turn in the final race, because after breaking from gate 6, I guess he is going to be leading. So apart from number 4 Secret Vision in race 9, I think Beauty Turn number 12 is also a horse that can perform quite well. So to recap race 9, our selections, Nathan and I agree with number 4, Secret Vision. And Steve goes for number 11, Storm Legend, who has some excuse last time out, and he's really ready to win anytime. So after talking about the 3 legs of the treble, let's talk about our best bets for the day. Steve, who do you like as your best bets? Can you remind us?
Yeah, let's go back to race number 8, and that is number 5, Pachisi, ridden by Zach Purton for Jamie Richards. 2 good runs, placed third and second over the minimum trip. In some ways, I could very easily have done what Nathan's done, and that is race number 7. There's probably less question marks over how deep is your love, and maybe make this my next bet. But I just decided to do it the opposite way around. And I had trouble almost looking at this race because from the very beginning I thought Pachisi would win, but it was almost like an ordeal going through the merits of the other horses because I knew I would come down on Pachisi at the end. And as you say, there's a few question marks. You never know who's going to pop up here. Smoky Bear is potentially interesting. Wood on Fire gets a bit of weight from Pachisi, but all things being equal, and with natural progression, you would think Pachisi would make it third time lucky, providing he gets the breaks and runs as well as we expect him to.
Yeah, so race 8, number 5, Pachisi will be Steve best bet. The price now, let me check, it is 2.5, and of course Nathan and I will be cheering for you in race 8. And Nathan, can you tell us again who will be your best bet?
Yep, How Deep Is Your Love in race number 7. We'll go with him as the best bet. I totally agree with Steve, though. I think it's a coin flip. It really was when I was doing the form the other day. I thought it's either How Deep Is Your Love or Pachisi would find my best bet tag. I just went with How Deep Is Your Love, as Steve alluded to. I just think there are less question marks about him. We've seen him produce that winning effort on a couple of times at Happy Valley, at the circuit, at the trip, and there's just you just feel as though as long as he jumps well enough from the inside draw, he's just going to be lobbing here. I think he's a very, very good bet. Yes, you got to take 1.9, but I do believe he's the best horse. And in a race where there's not a lot of consistency, he's the one that is. Look, the one I didn't give a sprint to is the one that Charene did mention, jumping back in grade. That's You're My Everything. On his best day, he can definitely produce a big peak here, but I just think because he's in the race, How Deep Is Your Love gets in very well at the weights. And then outside of that, you've got a lot of runners that are nearing victory, but none that have been putting the wins on the board, like How Deep Is Your Love. Best bet of the night. And we've got to wait till race number 7, but I think it'll be worth the wait because I think he'll be winning and winning well.
Yes, so stay awake for him. Race 7, number 2, How Deep Is Your Love? The price now is 1.9, quite a short price, but I think he is really very likely to be winning this race. And my best bet will be in race 4. I quite like number 2. Let's Do It. In this race, it is a class 4 over 1650 meters. And actually, I think Zach Purton gets a lot of good rides tonight at Happy Valley. And in race 4, Let's Do It will be one of his winning hope. This time moving to Happy Valley for the first time in this season, I think he should perform well because tonight we have 2 batches of class 4 over 1650 meters. And I think this race 4 is a bit weaker field. So hopefully Let's Do It, who have some good performance at Charene before, can find some good position here because gate 4 is quite ideal for him. And recently, Let's Do It, this horse is doing quite well at Charene over both 1400 meters and the mile. So I think 1650 at the Valley is also a suitable distance for him. And also Zach Purton takes to ride again, and I think he can be staying in the midfield behind the leader. And I think the draw is quite good, and the preparation for the horse is also quite well because recently I saw him to have some good gallops during the morning track work, showing that the horse is really fit. And of course, he's not a really I think he's quite consistent, although he is still a maiden after 21 starts in Hong Kong. But this time, I think it is the time for him to break the maiden because he's in a weak field and with a good draw and with a good jockey on board, good preparation before this race. So hopefully Let's Do It can do it and break the maiden in race 4 here. So to recap our best bets for Steve, it is race 8, number 5, Pachisi, and for Nathan, race 7, number 2, How Deep Is Your Love, and for me, race 4, number 2, Let's Do It. And after talking about our best bets, let's talk about some outsider that we fancy. Steve, who do you have as your value bet?
I went to race number 6. It's Division 2 of the Green Island Handicap over the 1650 metres, and I went for number 10, One Heart One, who is unfortunately drawn in gate 12 of 12. He's a son of Burgundy, lightly raced, 5 runs, a really, really nice horse. I think there's a win coming soon for this horse, and I think he would probably have gone very close to winning 3 back. He was a sixth that day to Coming Patch, but for a troubled run under Keith Young, I think he'd have gone very close. After that, he was 5th, beaten about 6.5 lengths to Ching, but that was no disgrace. And last time he wasn't beaten that far. He had to tack across from gate 14 under Vincent Ho, and he was beaten 2.5 lengths by Flying Mojito. He sort of faded in the final 150 metres. But Connections should be getting used to bad draws by now. He's been drawn 11, 10, 11, 3 and 14 in his 5 runs. Really quite grim. And he's 12 of 12 this time. It's always tempting to wait for a better draw. But, you know, in these races, sometimes you can sort of kick yourself because you hold off for a better draw and they break smartly, or they get held up and they come through with a good run. And I just think this horse is going places. He's a really nice type, and 12 of 12, although it's not good, is better than 14 of 14. And I think there's a few question marks about some of the horses in this race. I think there's others to consider. Happy One, he's a son of Holy Roman Empire. He caught the eye twice for me in the last 3 runs. And I think probably the percentage call is River Views, a horse that's ran well over this course and distance the last 3 times, steadily getting closer to the target. And you've also, he can't help but find a good barrier. In contrast to my selection, River Views is drawn 6, and that's actually the worst draw he's had in the last 5 runs. So he's living a charmed life. He's something like 1-3-3-1. What a lucky devil he's been. And of course, there's also Holy Power, a debut winner for Jamie Richards, top weight under Zach Burton. But for me, well, you've got to go for a value horse sometimes. And I think One Heart One at double figure odds is an interesting one in race number 6.
Definitely. So race 6, number 10, One Heart One, and other bad draw for him. He is a bit unlucky in terms of the barrier draw, but I think this time carrying a lightweight and then trying the city circuit for the first time, he should be doing well. So Nathan, what about you? Can you tell us who will be your value bet?
Yeah, I thought it was a really tough card to go and find a genuine, strong value hope, but I think I found one. We'll go to race number 5 on the program, and that's number 4. It's called Cheer for South. Now, I made this guy a better bet on the program when he debuted on the 8th of February. Thought he was a little bit disappointing, particularly on his trials, but it was just a race where they went very, very quick up on speed. He had a lot of noise from barrier 11. He jumped with Zach Purton on board, went forward, and just things never went well. He over-raced. He had to sit wide throughout the trip, and there was just a lot of speed to his inside. This time, drawn gate 8 on Wednesday night with Karis Teaton jumping on for Frankie Law. I think this deep field gelding is very, very impressive. Go look at his trials, and we just need to see those translate to the track, and I think they can. On Wednesday night, I think he can jump. I think he can lead in a race where there's definitely tempo, but I don't think it's as hectic as it was last time. So I think he can find a nice, a nice run up on the speed, but I don't think it's going to be as. He's not going to get as much trouble, hopefully. And if he doesn't, I think if he can pinch a sectional midway race here over the 1,000 meters, he's going to be able to sort of pinch a break and kick clear. He'll look the winner at some stage, and you're getting around $10 and around $3.50 a place to find out. I think it's a fair each way bet in this race and on the card. And despite a horse like Fairbolt, for example, he's been very, very consistent. You go down the page, G1 Excellent. That's your favourite at the moment. I want to be taking him on after his win. I think he's been a nice horse as of late, but gee, I think that's a short quote for him. And then Hardy Wish, we get a nice weight swing on him, who beat us home last time. So Cheer for South, I'll make him the value runner of the day. Not a stack of confidence, but I do think he can run a hole, provided he can run up to his trial form. His trials say he's a very, very good horse. His first up run says he's got some work to do. But if he puts it together, I think he can definitely put on a win tonight. And at the value price, I'll make him the each way bet of the evening. Race 5, number 4, Cheer for South.
Yes, he's a great pick for a value bet. Race 5, number 4, Cheer for South, a young horse, only 3-year-old, who has good speed. And this time, gate number 8 is a bit better than last time, because last time he was freaked from stall number 11. And also, he did show some good speed in the early stage. So second up this time, hopefully he will be improving. And my value pick let me say again, it is in race 9, number 4, Secret Vision, because this time he is trying the Happy Valley for the first time, but the price now is quite attractive for me because he is having a 7.2 chance for the win. So because he is having a good draw, case number 2 this time, so I think this increased my confidence. And also with Zach Burton on board and along with some good form recently as Charene, I think he is capable for handling the city circuits. And if he breaks well from gate number 2, I think he is having a chance to win again. He's a winner at Charene last season, but trying to have a breakthrough in this season, but moving to Happy Valley should be a good decision for Danny Shum. So hopefully he can run well. So to recap our value pick for Steve, it will be in race 6, number 10, One Heart One, and for Nathan, race 5, number 4, Cheer for Self, and for myself, race 9, number 4, Secret Vision. So that's all for our preview for the Happy Valley race car. Seems to be quite straightforward, but there are some tricky races as well. So hopefully we can bring you some winner. Once again, thank you for watching, and we will see you again next time for the Charene preview. It is going to be a big day because we are going to have the Hong Kong Derby and also the Queen Silver Jubilee, which will be a Group 1 over 1400 meters. So let's have some good performance today at Happy Valley, and let's enjoy the big day in the weekend. See you next time. Goodbye.